Ken, hi Ken.
Who is that watching the match?
Hi guys.
Which I wish I could be
Hi,
watching.
Ken.
Hey,
Hi. You went from Banks to Ken?
hey, Sarah, Brianna.
Hi, Lucan. I get it.
Hi, Jason.
It's his
Hi,
name,
Jason.
Celine. What do you get? It's his name.
Yes, I see it now.
Oh, Mike Taylor's. I can see Taylor.
I can't see you.
Hi, Francine.
Oh, God.
You can start, Rashawn. I think a lot of people, or do you want to wait 2 minutes for more people to come?
Oh, I don't even know how many people, so.
Celine, I'm joining with my laptop now. So when you see it, just make it a share of screen.
Share up screen.
Francine, you guys, do you want to introduce yourself, Francine?
Well,
Hi, good. My name is Francine McKenzie. I used to go to Alpha from first to fifth form and do sixth form quality academy.
Ooh.
I think there's an Alpharian in here.
More than one?
More than one.
More than one. There are like 5 of us, probably more.
More than one Alpharian, and I'm very excited to be here.
we're
That's
excited
what,
to have you.
that's what people went to Alpha call themselves? Alpharians?
What else would we call ourselves, Crutchway? Academia?
I just never
Alpha-ites.
Alpharites.
I was just asking a question.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Alphaites don't sound retarded, Tuna.
No, Alphites,
Alphites?
not Alphaites.
Why? What would that? Yeah, it's okay.
Spice is kind of cute.
It's not.
Hi. Nikki is here. All right. So I'm gonna add her, and Rashawn, you can start when she comes in.
Okay.
Hello, Sai Naredi.
Not ready. Not ready.
Has she been added?
Not ready. Not
Yes.
ready.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
Savannah.
good afternoon, everyone. We're gonna start now, and welcome back to another UEAS meeting. We're very happy to have you all. So first order of business, I just want everybody that's in attendance to leave their name and year in the chat so that we can keep record of who was here. And now to get into the meat of the matter, the theme for this meeting is professionalism in the actuarial field. So we'll be letting you guys know what it's like to work in the entire field. There's a lot of different aspects of actuarial science, such as insurance and pensions, but we have a speaker that will let you know the ins and outs of everything. So I'm going to hand over to Gabrielle McGee for the announcements.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I just want to interject. If you are on the call right now and you have on merch, please turn on your camera.
Yes, please do.
Oh, Celine, allow me to share a screen, please.
Hey, Savannah, I can see you.
Can you have the comb?
Hi.
Please remember to mute your mics when you're speaking to us.
I was about to mute her and then I remembered I'm not the host.
Hey, question, how do we get to buy the merch? Because I want to buy one.
Oh, those are coming up in the announcements.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No problem.
Celine, can I share my screen, please?
Sorry, I'm trying a thing here.
Thank you.
So, hi guys, Gabby McGee here. So, just wanted to announce just a few announcements. First, guys, the jersey design competition, we have extended the date until October 2nd, which is tomorrow. So, guys, remember to send your.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember to send your design to our email, ueactualsauce@gmail.com. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, man, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
Yeah.
My screen confusing me. Yes, guys, sorry. Remember to send your design to our email with your name and a contact number. so that we can contact you, please. Remember, it's extended till tomorrow. The mentorship program, guys, especially for the first years, make sure you guys go and sign up. You can go on our IG page at UA Actuarial SOC to see the testimonials of the persons who did it last year or the year before. So, guys, make sure you sign up for the mentorship program. It closes tomorrow. You guys do not want to miss that. For the merch forms, they are on our website. You can go and order them on our website. We have the t-shirts in the different colors. Daniel is wearing the purple, and Rashawn, Celine, you're in the black. Are you?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Celine is in the black. Daniel and Rashawn in the purple. So guys, go and sign up for your merch forms. Also, for persons who ordered the pink shirts, remember Pink Day is in October, guys. For persons who ordered the pink shirts, you will be required to make payments on October 9th. And if you ordered a black or a blue shirt, you can also pay for the shirt on that day. So October the 9th to pay for the pink shirts and other merch. Remember to sign up for the subcommittees. We have PRO subcommittee, Treasury subcommittee, and of course, EAC subcommittee, guys. Remember to go and sign up if you want to be a part of the PR and the social.
Yeah.
Want to be a part of the
The,
PR
the form
and
is already out. You got the email?
social media, sign up for the PRO subcommittee. If you want to be involved in outreach and giving back, make sure you sign up for the EAC subcommittee. And if you want to be involved in planning the events the fundraising events and stuff, make sure you go and sign up for the treasury committees. Now, what we all would like to see, guys. So, remember last meeting, we told you guys that we had two positions open on our executive board. They are Deputy EAC and PCC. Guys, I don't want to give much. Can we just let the video speak?
Okay, sure, no problem.
Yeah. So, guys, watch, please. I'm nervous.
I'm sorry. The
I'm
thing
not even
people
Green,
coming.
please.
You're
Your
rude.
audio, pause it.
Yeah, no.
Congrats, guys.
Yes, guys, so I would like to officially welcome you to the team. So as the video said, Savannah Grant is our PCC and Javine Henry, Deputy EAC. Guys, this was a hard selection process and all the candidates were so good. Like, I wish we could have just have all of them just be all of the roles, but alas, you have to pick one. And kudos to everyone who applied, kudos to everyone who interviewed, and we hope, not even hope, we expect to see you on the different subcommittees because you clearly have what it takes if it was so hard for us and we don't want your talent to go to waste. So just run in on the subcommittees, fill out the form. Even if you don't fill out the form, we have your contact information. We will add you to the subcommittees. But yes, I don't know if both appointed candidates want to say anything. If either of them want to say anything, now is the time.
Hi, everyone. I'm Savannah.
Oh, is she mute? Oh, sorry.
Turn
Oh,
on your
the
mic.
sound.
I mean,
I
oh, wait.
I'm on two devices because one camera work and yes. Sorry.
All right.
So I'm here, but then I'm here. Sorry. So hi everyone. I'm Savannah, the appointed PCC. Most of you know me already. hi to everyone that doesn't. I'm excited to work with you guys. I already started, so I'm just happy to be a part of the team and I'm ready to do the work. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Hi guys, I am
Congratulations.
Vivian. Hi everyone, I am so excited for this new year and I just really want to be used. Thank you.
Right, Namiro?
All right, guys. So you heard from both our PCC deputy EAC. There are two people in the waiting room. All right. Well, yes, guys. I'll hand over back to the people in charge of this meeting.
Oh, actually, Daniel, it's your time. Resume writing tape.
Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna hear my voice again. Okay. So because as you guys all know, the UA Actuarial Society, we're not only here for fun stuff, we want to help you grow holistically as well. And as such, before we reach the as such, as the second and third years would know, the math department has their career fair every time coming up like around October, November. And what we want to do for the UA Actuarial Society is that we want to prepare you guys. We want to impart upon you some tips, so little tidbits that you can keep with you so that you'll be a perfect candidate or an ideal candidate. So as such, for the month of October, we'll be running a little, the fancy word people use, a promotion, a series, insert fancy word here, where every meeting will be giving you a little resume, links in career advice tidbit that you can keep and, help to update your stuff. So the first one for this month, series, that's right. So the first one for this month is when you're filling out your resume, guys. When you're filling out the task part of your summer job, please don't put the basic stuff like I did filing or answer the phone. Like it is, sorry, I'm adding people in the room. This is where you actually have the opportunity to let people know what it is you did. And don't be scared to play it up a little. Like you're not going to lie. But what I would do, so for one of my summer jobs, I pretty much worked with my aunt and we filed everything, what I mean, employee records from 2008 up to 2019. So on my resume, I have that I updated the employee database because that is exactly what I did. So yes, it is filing, but be a bit more specific because yeah, everybody know that filing is something you do, but use powerful words. So you successfully aided in updating the employee database, stuff like that. If you were in charge of 2 people for a day, you led a team of 2 for a limited time period or for a short time period, and this is what you did. Like you're using your resume to upsell your skills, because remember, most employers make the decisions from the resume. So if everybody resume come in and you say, oh yeah man, that girl they file and she answer phone, if you answered the phone and you did that, you worked in customer service, so you use those fancy words. And you might be wondering, why should you listen to me? Who am I? Well, I am nobody, but what I do on the side is that I help people, fancy up the resume. So I bring it from bleh to wow, like I have water with wow. With me, you get resume with wow. So that's why you guys should listen to me. And that's my resume tip for this week.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, guys, so now we're going to go into the icebreaker. I'm going to share screens. And you guys, for this icebreaker, you can turn on your mics and just show the answer at me, okay? Because I can't look in the chat to see the answer. So just turn on your mics. It's okay. We want all of you to participate. I'm sharing screens.
Celine, where's your name? I'm trying to make you back the host. Okay, back to you. Sorry about that.
I think are you guys seeing my screen?
It's loading. It's still loading. All right, guys. So while we wait on Celine's screen to come up,
I am sorry.
just open your mic and let us know how your day has been so far. How has your week been? You know, don't all unmute your mics at once.
It's only 4 minutes long, so it's not long. Let's watch it.
Oh my gosh, hi, Levon.
Let's start. I'm gonna stop sharing this and share that instead. So once I mute myself, give me a thumbs up if you're hear it. If you're having
Your mic open here.
And
I'm sorry, I don't know why it's taking so long.
Guys,
your internet,
remember to leave your name and your group in the chat so that you can be added to the register.
Celine, if you send it to me on WhatsApp, I can share it from my end.
forgot that Celine Wi-Fi was trash.
Celine is frozen.
Tamar,
Right?
Dial-up.
Oh, here it is. Woo!
Wait, are you seeing something?
Yeah, we're seeing your screen.
Tamar, are you okay?
Who, me?
But my screen says error. What?
Oh my gosh. Celine, can you hear us?
She disconnected?
Yes, I can hear. It's frozen. I don't know. Or the.
So nobody else wants to unmute the mic and speak to me about the day. Do you guys actually hate me? I'm actually concerned.
I think they do.
Somebody said yes. I heard that. I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't hear that. Yes. Thank you, Francine. You see, us alpha ladies have to stick together. Say whatever.
I can't open the mic, you know. All him can do a message.
Well, since you guys don't want to talk to me, I'll talk to you guys about how my week has been. So if you don't unmute the mic, is a bus here is coming in. I'm just warning everybody. So let's start from Sunday. No, let's start from Friday. Okay, so Friday I went to school and I saw my friends and I had a lot of fun. And then Saturday and Sunday I did all the schoolwork I needed to do to catch up. So I have a lot of free time this week. Like normally I'm on top of my game as it relates to school, but I think I'm too ahead. Yeah, man, I see you guys begging in the chat. Oh, should I unmute the mic? I'm not gonna stop. So like I think I'm too far ahead in schoolwork. So I have nothing. I don't like my friends are on the call doing work and I'm just laying there like I wish I had something to do.
Wow.
Justin asks, how is that possible? Time management pool. Is it this little trusty? Shut up now. Is it this trusty whiteboard behind me? I write all the things I need to do on it, and it's like a little. It's good when it's visually there, so it's right beside my bed. So every time I get up and I look over, it's like the tasks I have to do are staring in my face. So the guilt of seeing them not crossed out is what motivates me to do my work. So yeah. Celine, if you can hear me, just send me the PowerPoint and I can share it from my end.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
But yeah, so yesterday, I play COD, right? I'm not good at it, and it's not been working for a while. And I figured out what to do. Like I figured out how to fix the problem, and I figured out how to fix the problem. And I played that game yesterday and I was so bad at it. And yeah, so that was how my week's been going so far. But I tell you guys, every Thursday, I'm here.
FPL.
Please, Gabriel, that is behind me. Please, okay?
Oh yes, for everybody who has an FPL team, just remember to update it by tomorrow for Saturday.
Thank you for reminding me.
My team is updated, guys, and I'm climbing to the top.
At least you're in front. Jordan Ashman.
No man, Ashman has struggle. Wow.
Somebody
How
call
do
me
you
a
create
while
the
ago.
feed and you're
Yeah, I tell you, Daniel.
It doesn't make sense.
Daniel.
Yeah.
You were saying that you're ahead in school, like, so you write notes in the class, like
Yeah, okay.
live lectures?
Yes, I do, because if I'm not writing notes in the live lectures, I won't pay attention because I'm very, very easily distracted. I have the attention span of an ant. So if I'm not writing in the lectures, I'll be on Twitter, I'll be doing something else. And like I treat online school like it's regular school. So I wake up in the mornings and I get ready and I eat my breakfast and I have my laptop open and my book ready and my pens ready. So in the lecture I go, I'm writing my notes during class, I'm asking questions, because recordings to me is a waste of time, because the way how I learn, I have to ask questions. So watching the recording, I have questions and I can't ask them. And oftentimes the questions I have, nobody else in the class don't have it. So the questions aren't being asked in the recording. So I have to go to the lectures and I have to write notes. Sometimes I'll fall behind because I think these lecturers move quicker online than they do in regular school. So may I take picture, may I write, and I ask my friend them, yo, anybody got that last slide? But yeah, I write during live lectures.
Taylor.
Yeah, I fall behind, so I just can't keep up with the lectures because they move too quickly. So I go to the live lecture, and then I write from the slides that are posted on RVLE. And then if I have like, if he did an example or something, then I'll have to watch the recording just for that example. So I like skim through recordings, but that takes time.
Yeah. What I realized though
How
is
about
that
just not going to the lectures and just watching the
And watch the
recording?
recording.
No, exactly. I have to go to the lecture because I feel more comfortable that way.
Same
I
thing,
feel
I
like
like I
can't write
understand
in
you.
the lecture,
it
so I
don't
have
make
someone
sense to
to
not go to
asked
lecture
skim
too.
through the
if you guys were
recording, which
born
takes
studious.
time.
You go to
Born.
the lecture to get an understanding and then
Yes,
you watch
yes,
over the
Yeah,
Roshan.
recording to
exactly.
shore up
Yes,
everything.
Roshan.
Yeah,
So you don't think
You
that's a
don't
exactly.
waste of
go.
time? That's a waste. That's double time. That's a
I
waste
mean,
of
Not
time.
double
if you feel
time.
No,
like
Not double
but
time.
sometimes I just leave the
it's what
lectures
I
if it's
need to
taking,
do
yeah.
because I
Listen, you see all the
physically
people
cannot
saying that you
keep
don't
up.
need to go lectures, then people are clapping A's and A pluses.
Exactly. I can't watch
Me,
them. I can't watch
I
them.
would like for you to take that back. Thank you. And I'm quite behind, so please.
Yeah, but honestly, the whole thing from this online experience is to do what works for you, but don't fall too far behind. Don't allow yourself to be more
Yeah.
than like 2 class sessions behind, because you guys know how Axi is. Like the
Yeah.
What
first part
about
of the
9?
semester, you won't be getting any assignments, and then once that first assignment drop, it's like them don't stop
Everything.
drop them.
And you,
And I
that's
got
a
my
little
stats
too
homework
late.
yesterday, and I have a project that I got today, and she said she's giving us another project tomorrow. So don't fall behind.
Daniel, that's a little too late. That's a lot too late.
No, but
Hot
as
stuff,
in try
Gabby.
and catch
Hot
up so
stuff.
you're not that far. And trust me,
I'm
guys,
trying.
it sound like, the cliche stuff that people always tell you, but trust me, don't be too far behind, because what's gonna happen is exam time, you go find yourself having to rewatch all the recordings again, and just try, even if you don't understand, at least be close to the lecturer, so that
Yeah.
if
Wanna
anything, you're
know
not
that
that far behind.
you guys know that I'm trying. I was texting you guys at 1 a.m.
Yeah,
watching
man,
it
and it's
probably today.
it's the effort that counts, right?
Gabby has been watching from lectures.
Be quiet. Can we take him off, please? Can we please take him off?
Please,
Like,
Nacho.
just take him off.
Is
All right,
Celine
well,
ready?
guys, so we did a different kind of icebreaker today. We got a little chit chat session. So now I'm gonna hand over to Roma.
Somebody's calling you, Daniel.
Me, I can't hear.
I think
Oh,
that's
Jason.
Jason.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh yeah. What I was saying is that what I do for lectures is not go to them live, but watch them at multiples of speed after, and I get through like way more.
Crutchley, say nothing.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I have
Crutchley,
the
please.
Chrome extension
Over.
for this. I can send it in the group if you all want me to. Say I will. It's a big
Wait,
help,
is
guys.
it a
I'm just
Chrome
letting you
extension to
guys know.
speed up videos? Is what? Chrome extension?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
please send it. Please send it. I'm tired of
Yeah,
watching
send
these
it, send it.
lectures in
Yes.
slow mo. It annoys me.
I will.
You can
I'm gonna
do
send it
plus
right now. I'm gonna send it right
1.5x
now. Say less.
2.0x.
Okay, Rashawn, send it both in the Zoom chat and in the family group chat, just in case people aren't in both.
Okay, hold on.
But yes, guys, honestly, like as much as I said that recordings are not for me, it's really what works for you. Find what works for you and don't lie to yourself.
Jason talking.
How fast can the extension speed up videos too? Like
Fast as you
Um,
want.
I feel like as
fast
much
as
as you
you want.
want, but you don't want to go too fast because
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna
no, I
really
know.
miss the
But like
lecture.
YouTube does it at 2 times. So like what I do if I want to watch Blackboard recordings, I have to download and then put it in VLC, and I can get up to like maybe 3.2, 3.3. It depends on
That's too
like
much.
how good the audio quality is.
I just keep it
That's
at
too much work.
1.5 times and 2 times speed.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, same.
But
Because I know
for
some of the
some,
online stuff doesn't do that fast.
for some lectures, when I copy and paste the link that you leave on or they leave, it allow me to speed it up at 1.5
Oh
times
my
or
God, Sam
1.2
is
times.
a Zoom lecture, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what reached us last year, you know they don't stay forever, right? Try and
Oh,
download it.
you can download them, by the way, guys.
Yeah, I found that extension last semester. I don't know where it is, but I'm pretty sure one of you guys will find it. Download them and keep
I
them
just play with
because
the HTML and download it from it directly.
Oh
But
yeah,
you
there's a. Well, talk Justin, sorry.
yeah, so you can. That's too much explanation, but I think you can download it with Firefox.
Yeah,
yeah, I found another Google extension as well. Just literally just Google Zoom download extension
but
for Chrome.
I have the whole of them downloaded right now. So if
They
anything,
can just send
same,
them in
same.
I
a
just
drive.
you
send them.
can
Like
make
when
a
you
Google
download them,
Drive.
just send them.
Yeah,
Or
just send
yeah.
Oh
them.
yeah. Make
Just
a
send the
drive.
extension.
Send them is a lot. So Google Drive. Send
Yeah,
the
make a drive.
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I'll
guys
make a
can just
drive.
go on Firefox and then open the
Download it
Zoom
yourself if you
recording,
want
and
as well.
then over the video, you hold on Shift and then right click, and then you're gonna see save video as, and then you can download it.
Just stay in Google
You think
Drive.
Michael think I remember that?
Exactly.
No, it's
Send
super
it in
simple.
the
Like you just open the video and then just hold on Shift and right click like you normally do, and you're gonna see save as.
Probably better to send it in the group.
All right, guys. So while I enjoyed this icebreaker, and I know we're so close knitted that we will talk forever, we have a purpose to today's meeting. So I'm going to hand over to Roma so that she can introduce our very, very special guest speaker for today. So Roma, whenever you're ready.
Hey guys! I hope it's really good to be here another week with y'all. I hope you all are doing well and you're having a great week. Just so you know, the chat a while ago really livened up my spirits, so I'm grateful. So today we have a pleasure, we have the pleasure of learning something a little bit different than what we usually learn in our actuarial science classes. So today, our very own faculty advisor, Miss Hay, will be addressing us about professionalism in the actuarial field. Now, Miss Hay is an independent consulting actuary who has gained credentials including being a fellow of the Society of Actuaries, being a chartered enterprise risk actuary, as well as a professional risk manager. She lectures here at UWI while she also volunteers her expertise to the National Health Fund, and for some time, she was also a very active member of the Rotary Club of Kingston. So, given her vast experience and her willingness to share her knowledge, there is no one more fitting to introduce us to weathering and adapting to the professional actuarial world. Please help me welcome Miss Britta Hay.
Clap.
Guys.
Hi, Miss Hay.
Hi, Miss.
Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is not just professionalism in how it plays out in the actuarial field, but just more generally what professionalism is. And then I'm going to filter down to what it means for a practicing actuary, and also how it can apply to you guys, because you're not too young to think about professionalism. But first, I'm going to start with saying what a profession actually is. And it's a word that people kind of use a little bit indiscriminately. And a profession is an occupation, so a way of making money, that it has a number of criteria. First of all, it is something that is specialized, so not everybody can just jump up and do it. The second thing is that it's usually something that's in the public interest, meaning that it's something that it's useful for a society to have people in that profession. And the next thing is that they will have an association. So if you're a member of a profession, there's a professional association that's linked with it. And then accreditation. If you're a member of a profession, then there's some way that you get a license, and that license is what allows you to practice in that field, in that profession. And the last part is that there has to be some kind of disciplinary body in that association. And what that means is that if you act out of line, you can actually lose your ability to practice your profession. And one of the things about it being specialized is that you have a case where the public doesn't really understand what the people in the profession do. And so they don't necessarily know if somebody in the profession is giving them good advice or not. And so you need to have trust. And the associations are there and the disciplinary bodies are there to help build the trust. The public has to trust professionals. And so the typical professions people will talk about are medicine and law, and maybe not so much actuarial. Those are the two professions that people will call most often. And if you think about it, you have to be able to trust your doctor because you don't know what your doctor is telling you. You have to have that faith that your doctor is telling you the right things. And so that faith is built by not only the fact that they've gotten their MD, but also that there is a body that says, if you commit malpractice, you're out. Same thing with lawyers. Lawyers are going to tell you information that can have serious impact on your life. You have to be able to trust that they're going to do the right thing. And with actuaries, same thing. An actuary can be in a position, maybe not on an individual level, because actuaries don't usually work one-on-one with a client, but an actuary can have a lot of impact on your life insurance. If the calculations are not done right, your life insurance company might go under and then you don't have benefits, even though you paid all of those premiums. Or with a pension plan. If the pension plan isn't properly funded, then when you retire and you're waiting for your income that you contributed to, you don't get it. So actuaries do play a role that, like I say, it's not so much an individual actuary to client relationship, but we do play a role that's just as important as a doctor's role or a lawyer's role or some of the other professions out there. And so that's where the word profession comes in, and professionalism built off of that. And oh, and that's just an aside too. Don't forget that, yeah, an actuary, if an actuary is pulled up before the disciplinary board, they can lose their ability to call themselves a fellow. So if I commit actuarial malpractice, I can lose my accreditation. And so that's what's different from, say, studying and you can't think of a degree off the top of my head. But if you're not part of a profession, when you get your degree is yours. It can't be taken away from you. So my master's degree can't be taken away from me, but my fellowship in the Society of Actuaries can be taken away from me. So that's where professionalism comes from. That's the whole idea of having that faith, that trust, that honesty. So moving over to what professionalism is, when you are practicing in a profession, you have to show the professionalism, which means first and foremost, that people can trust you. You have to be ethical and you have to be honest. And if you think about the other two professions I've talked about, you need doctors to be honest, you need them to be ethical. You need lawyers to be honest and ethical. And so professionalism is going to make sure that people are keeping abreast of everything they need to do to serve their clients properly. One of the things is that we have to do continuing professional education. And so we have to stay current with what it is that is going on in our field. And I'm sure if you have a doctor who's been practicing for more than 20 years, you want to know that they've learned a little something between when they graduated and now. Same thing with actuaries. The world changes a lot, and so a lot of the risks that we're facing these days have changed. Professionalism is one of the things that helps to keep us current, helps to keep us relevant. And so we have to do, every year we have to attest to the fact that we are doing continuing professional education. And we have to show that part of that is professionalism, that we are being reminded what the ethics are, what the standards are that we need to meet. And so when you're an actuary, you also have to abide by the actuarial standards of practice. Some of those are rules that tell you how you can value a pension plan, how you can do underwriting for insurance products. And so we not only have to do what's right for our companies, we also have to pay attention to what the bodies that we are registered with, what rules they say we should follow. And one of the most important rules for actuaries is that you cannot perform actuarial work outside of a field in which you have experience. And so if you are somebody who has trained as a life insurance actuary, You can't just jump over and suddenly say, yeah, I can do health insurance too. You have to show that you actually have learned what you need to know to do that kind of work. So yeah, so every year we go to conferences. It's not just because conferences are fun, although they are, but we also do that so we can get the professional credits. So we can fill out our forms and say that, yes, we have done our continuing professional education. Another part of being a profession is that you should also give back to your profession. And I'm sure that you've heard the phrase give back to your profession often, but you don't really necessarily think about what that means. And so a profession is really a body that you should feel like you're part of a family. You should feel like you belong, and you should feel like the people who have gone ahead of you want to help you become the best professional you can be. And so one of the things we do is we give back. In Jamaica, that's pretty easy because we have a very small profession. I don't know how many fully qualified actuaries there are at the moment practicing in Jamaica, but less than 20 the last time I counted. And so it's a small group. And it's a close-knit group, and it's actually one of the things that I love most about being an actuary in Jamaica is that we are a close-knit group and we do actually look out for each other. So yeah, it's like a family. I mean, not as big a family as the UEAS family, but it's a family. All right, so moving from the professionalism for actuaries and other strictly defined professionals, professionalism in a broader sense, more the sense that you want to think about when you're working. That means that you're going to be an honest person. You're going to be straightforward in what you tell the people you work with. Whether it's your boss, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's your clients, you want to be straightforward and honest. You want people to be able to trust you. One of the most important things when you're working is that your boss knows that they can trust you, not only to do the tasks that have been assigned to you, but also just to take responsibility. And taking responsibility is what they look for because they want to know that they can leave you unattended, that they don't have to worry about what's going to happen if they turn their back for a week and then, they've gone on a business trip, and when they come back, they don't know what's happened. So you're going to want to take responsibility, not just for the tasks on your desk, but even more importantly, take responsibility for the things that go wrong. A professional person is somebody who will, when something has gone wrong, not try to find somebody else to blame for it, but to actually accept responsibility and say, yes, this is what happened, I take responsibility, and this is how we'll fix it. So there is also one thing that I think is pretty common in Jamaica, that we don't really show respect for each other. And we are still quite a hierarchical society, and you see a lot of that in the working world, where the boss wants to be the boss and you must know your place. Now, there are ways in which that's not very good because you don't always get the best out of people if you act very strict and stern, but it's important to show respect. And some bosses I have seen, they take on that very, very stern exterior because they're trying to make sure that they are shown respect. And so a professional person will show respect, not just for their boss, but for all of the other people who work with them. And a lot of the environments I've worked in, people only show respect upwards to the people who can influence their career path, but not to the people who work below them. And it's important to show respect all the way around. That's professional. And respect also for people's time, because it's a common thing, again, especially in Jamaica, even more so if you work in the public sector, that meetings might start at 2 o'clock, but you see the people trickling in over time based on their status in the org charts. And so the least important people might show up at 2 o'clock, and then at 5 o'clock, probably 5 o'clock, 5 minutes past, you'll hear a few more people coming in, and then maybe quarter past is when the person who's actually called the meeting shows up. And that's something that you will see, but don't fall into that trap. Professionalism means you show up a little bit early if you can, but definitely on time. And so I've fallen into the habit that I come to a meeting and I will bring work with me. If there's nobody else in the room, I sit down and I start working. And when people come in for the meeting, then I'm ready for the meeting. And I actually have had the case where I have come in on time for a meeting, and maybe 2 minutes afterwards, the next person shows up. So I was the only person in the room. And the second person who showed up 2 minutes after the meeting was supposed to start looked at me and said, "Oh, I'm early." And I had to say, no, you're late. And she goes, "But nobody else is here." I said, "Yeah, but the meeting's supposed to start at 2 o'clock, whatever time. You should be here." So make sure that you show respect for people's time. And also, you will find bosses who ask you to do things that you think are stupid. But my common response to that is, if your boss tells you you need to fill out the form in blue ink, and you see absolutely no reason why it should be filled out in blue ink, you do it anyway. And that's respect for your boss, not necessarily as a person, and I'm going to get to that a little bit, but for his position and for your role in the company that you work for. And so if the rule says you fill it out in blue pen, you fill it out in blue pen. You don't kiss your teeth and say, this don't make no sense. You just do it. And it's something that I think happens to a lot of people. Professionalism is also being able to set aside what is personal when you come into a professional relationship. And I've seen a lot of people struggle with that. Showing respect to somebody else doesn't mean that you're giving up who you are. It doesn't mean that you are making yourself less than them. It shows that you are actually better than other people if you can show respect even when they don't. And I know that there are some young men I've worked with who felt that if they can't speak in patois, then boy, the job don't make sense. But in an office setting in Jamaica, we speak standard English. And that doesn't mean that when you're talking to your friends one-on-one, you can't speak in patois. But you want to speak standard English with your boss and whenever you are acting as a representative of the company you work for. That's professionalism. Also, being properly dressed. I know some people, both men and women, who feel that if they can't dress the way they want to dress, then their personality is being crushed. Okay, that's all well and good, but your personal life is your personal life. Being in the office means that you want to show what that office represents. And if you're working for a company that has a very clean professional image, you want to abide by that clean professional image. It's not an affront on you. It's not an affront on your personality if you are going to dress properly and speak properly. I describe it to people as, suppose you were to go and live in another country. And so you're in France and you need to speak French because you're in France. You wouldn't feel that that is giving up who you are. That's because that's the environment you're in and that's the language you speak in that environment. And so you should feel the same way about the things that you feel are representations of your personality. If you want to speak patois outside of the office, that's fine. But when you come into the office, you speak the language that is relevant for that office. And I mean, I'm not saying that you should totally give up every expression of your individuality, but just remember that this is a balancing act, that this is the way the working world works. And it's something that makes you much more able to contribute and will make it much easier for you to get ahead if you follow the rules that apply in those environments. And let me just look at my notes here. So yeah, know your boundaries. And by that, I mean that I've come across people who they see something and they say they can do it better than their boss. Boss doesn't know what they're talking about. This is a stupid way to do things, so I'm not doing it that way. Know your boundaries. The boss is a boss for a reason. They may not actually really deserve the job. You will come across bosses who don't deserve the job, but tough. If they're your boss, you have to show them respect and you have to follow the rules. And so know what is the limit of what you are allowed to influence, what you're allowed to change. If the boss has told you to set up the computer system a specific way, do it that way. Even if you know better, don't go ahead and do it your way. And the reason for that is because your boss needs to know that they can trust you to leave you unattended. Now, if you have a good boss, you'll be able to go to them and say, I think that it might be better to set it up this way. And if you have a good boss, they're going to say, okay, there's merit in what you say, so yeah, let's do it that way. but don't ever take it upon yourself to do things outside of what your boundaries are. And you will come across bosses who, yeah, they're not doing the right things. And I don't mean that they're being unethical, although you may come across that too. But your bosses may be doing things in a way that doesn't make sense. You, in your knowledge, see a better way of doing it, but don't fight them. That's something where you have to recognize what your boundaries are and stay within them. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit roundabout in general, but I want to talk a little bit about very specifically ACT-SCI students coming from UWI out into the working world. And I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback that you might not want to hear. And the biggest complaint that employers have about ACT-SCI students is that they are arrogant and that they do not know their boundaries, that they think they know better than everybody else and they will not take instruction. And now I'm going to drop a bombshell on you. And the majority of employers in Jamaica prefer to hire ACT-SCI students with second-class honors than first-class honors. And it's for that very reason. People with second-class honors come in with humility and they're ready to learn. People with first-class honors, they don't listen. And this is not a blanket statement. This is not everybody, but it is common. I mean, I know from places I've worked and from other employers, because we speak about it sometimes. And that is the common complaint. An employer wants somebody who is going to be able to learn. And if you come into the office believing or behaving as though you know everything and can't learn, then the employer is going to have problems with you. And also, you might have a case where somebody, they might have graduated with second-class honors, and they've been in the office for, let's say, 2 years. If you come in with first-class honors and you've met this person and you think that they are not as bright as you because they did get first-class honors, natural intelligence, that's all well and good. Natural intelligence will get you so far, but experience is far more important at that point when you come into an office than your intelligence. And if you are very intelligent, you will learn from them. Regardless of how bright they are naturally, they have experience that you can learn from. And I have had the situation where I had somebody who just graduated from UWI, and I was a fully qualified actuary at the time. And I corrected their work, and they pushed back and said I was wrong. This was somebody with 0 exam passes outside of UWI. So no professional exams, no SOA exams. And I was an FSA, and they were telling me that I was wrong. Not showing me that I was wrong, because I'm open to the fact that I make mistakes. He was not showing me that I was wrong. He was telling me that I was wrong. And so imagine if you're a boss. And so I wasn't his direct supervisor, but I was checking his work. But imagine if you're his boss. This is somebody you have hired. This is somebody you're paying. And you come to them and you say that the work that they have done is wrong. And they push back. Well, that's not going to be a recipe for a very healthy working relationship. And so I think that that's the biggest piece of advice that I can give to students who are looking to go out into the working world, particularly in an actuarial field, that you might have first-class honors, you might have gotten straight A's, but that doesn't mean that you can't learn. A lot of students will graduate without having passed any SOA exams, which means if you want to be an actuary, there's still a lot of learning you're going to have to do. And the best way you can learn is to have a little bit of humility, sit back and watch. Don't tell, watch. And I have to say that it's something that I don't really see students demonstrating a lot while they're still studying. And I think for some students, it's a bit of a gear change when they leave UA and then go into the real world, because the way you might feel, the way you might be perceived by your peers while you're at UA, it's a whole different environment when you get into an office. And so be mindful of the fact that when you first come into an office, you want to learn from everybody who is there. And by everybody, I mean everybody, even down to the person who mops the floors. Everybody can teach you something about the business you have come into. You're fresh. So yes, you have very, very high credentials. You might have a lot of people telling you you're the big brains, but don't let that go to your head. Look at everybody as somebody you should respect and somebody you can learn from. And all right, there was another point I was going to make and now I've forgotten it. Oh, yes, emails. I get a lot of emails from students and sometimes I have to shake my head. No, I'm not going to ask that you do complete proper Chicago manual of style emails to me. But first and foremost, if you haven't put your name in the email, then I might not know who you are. If it's something to do with, say, looking at grades, your ID number is kind of useful. So I'd appreciate that. But just show a little bit of respect and professionalism in how the email is worded. You know, because I'll sometimes get emails which, yeah, I can be a little bit slow in uploading some of the stuff I need to upload to RVLE. And I'll get emails that just say like, Miss, you didn't load last week's slides. No name, no nothing. Just, you know, show a little bit of respect and use it as practice. If any of you want feedback on how you are composing emails, I'm more than happy to do it. I'm not going to do it unsolicited, but I'm happy to do it. But look at the time that you're here as practice for what you're going to be doing when you get out into the real world. This is the best, the safest environment for you to learn those skills. And so take advantage of it. All right, I think that was pretty much everything. Let me look over my notes. But of course, we're gonna have a little time for some questions. But no, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, just respect, honesty, humility. Remember that you're there to learn, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, I say that the day I stop learning is the day I die. I don't ever want to be in the position where I'm not learning. And it might not always be actuarial, but the world is very, very big, and there are a lot of things you can learn, and you can learn from everyone. So just keep your mind open to that. All right, okay, questions. I don't know who's moderating. Roma, are you going to be moderating?
No, it's me.
Oh, Selena, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you guys have any questions for me, please?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like I know you touched on it earlier in your presentation, but I'm just very curious as to, like, you know, people always ask like how the typical day of an actuary is, like from you go to work till you leave, like what does a day normally look like? Okay, depends. Now, most of the work I've done as an actuary was in pensions, and so that was both in Jamaica and in the US. So consulting firms, both countries. And that's actually pretty boring, I'll be honest. A lot of data crunching. So it gets interesting when you start looking at the data and you're trying to like match what the client wants, and you're looking at ways to do the calculations so that they can understand what's going on with the plan. And so it can be interesting, but especially early on, it's lots of Excel files, lots of number crunching, and not particularly interesting. When I was working at the FSC, it was much, much more interesting, and for a number of reasons. One thing is that we were looking at life insurance, not so much health insurance, but life insurance, general insurance, and pensions, which meant we already had that diversity dealing with right there. But more importantly for me was I like working on things that have national significance. I volunteer to work on any committee that might want some actuarial expertise because I like that. I like seeing how, as an actuary, I can make changes in what might happen in this country. And so when you work for the public sector, so you're at FSC, you automatically have a route into those meetings. So I've been in meetings with the IMF, with the World Bank, to talk about what's happening in Jamaica. But government work is not for everybody, and it can have a lot of frustrations because it's just a totally different and less corporate focused, obviously, mindset. But even if you are in a boring actuarial job, there's always room for you to volunteer. And so that's a lot of what I've done. That's how I got involved with the National Health Fund. I have a follow-up question. I'm so sorry, Celine. So
Don't take questions.
for the volunteering, do they have any like opportunities for student volunteers, or it's like after you've completed like an exam or?
I don't think there are any projects going on at the moment, but yeah, there have been a lot of projects that people got involved in, especially with the pension reform. And so the Caribbean Actuarial Association, I mean, just the Jamaican chapter, obviously, got very involved in doing calculations to advise the government on how they should go about it. And so that was something that was really led by Ravi Rambaran, but he pulled in as many students as would volunteer. So there was many a night that we were there at Sagicor until all hours crunching numbers to try and get the report put together. And then we'd have meetings to discuss the report. And he's always been very good in that he will invite you, no matter who you are, to make comments. I mean, if you talk foolishness, he's going to box you down very quickly, but it's the actuarial profession. We are open to young people contributing, to young people speaking up. So yeah, no projects on at the moment that I know of, but there definitely are opportunities.
All right, thank you. Okay, Celine, you can go ahead now.
Hi, sorry about my background noise. The persons that sent questions in the chat, Francine, Sharifa, are you hearing me?
I'm looking at the chat right now.
Well, I wanted them to turn on their mic so that they could ask.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just asking, like, when is the best time should I do the exam when we're coming at actually? Should I do like in my second year, third year, or like after graduation?
Well, to be honest, the courses here are not going to be enough to get you to pass an exam. So normally I would say, and before anybody gets frightened, let me just clarify that. Normally I would say that the best time to do an exam is when you are doing the course that is most relevant to the exam. But because you're also going to have to do additional study beyond that to pass the SOA exams, it's really up to you. You're going to have to do a lot of self-study, so you're on your own, you're hitting the books, you're looking at the manuals, but it's really a matter of when you feel you are prepared. They are a lot of work, but if you are in this program, and well, maybe I should have said that as part of professionalism talk too, hard work is much, much more valuable than natural intelligence. And so the people who think that because they're the maths brains from high school that actuarial exams are nothing to them, don't do that. I made that mistake until the exams boxed me down. You need to work hard. You need to study hard, no matter how bright you are. So whenever you're ready to put in the work is the best time. While you're in university is useful because then you don't have a 9-to-5 job, but it's really when you are ready.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Sharifa, is your mic working or should I read the question?
Okay, hi. So my question was this, since you worked in both public sector as well as in consulting and things like that, do you think there's a big difference in the culture and how people relate to each other as it relates to professionalism?
Yeah, I would say that when I was at the FSC, I mean, it's partly too because it was a much larger organization than the consulting firm I was in. But in the FSC, I would say that things that happened there were much more relationship driven, meaning that it was much more important how you got along with people, how much your work would be respected. And I mean, I'm speaking very generally here, so don't pin me down on specifics. But I found that you really had to pay attention to managing the workplace dynamics more at the FSC. And from what I've heard from other people, that's pretty common in a lot of public sector entities. And a lot of that comes from the fact that in a for-profit business, you are going to be respected by what you are contributing to those profits. And it's not that somebody's going to do a calculation and say you contributed $5 million. It's that when your work is let me rephrase that. Your work speaks for itself much more when you're in a for-profit organization than when you're in a public sector organization. And part of that is that you have the fact that everybody's working towards making that profit means that there's a driver to efficiency, there's a driver to getting the work done. And you don't always find that in a public sector entity, that the drivers tend to be much more based on the relationships you have with the people around you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this question is from Akeem Campbell. He says, doubting that he'll graduate having done any professional exams, what's particularly important in getting a job after graduating?
Okay, so after you graduate, and a lot of employers do like to see an ACT-SCI grad. I mean, I've heard that as well, even though they might not necessarily want to hire the first class honors because they're hard to manage, they do like people who are ACT-SCI graduates. Now, once you have gotten your foot through the door to an interview, right? And I know that that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. That's when the professionalism kicks in. If you have gotten through the door and you're interviewing, you're actually sitting there talking to the people from the company, your qualifications are not what they're looking for. It's not how bright you are, because they've already seen that on paper. They have decided that you're somebody that they want to look at. What you need to focus then on is all of this professionalism stuff I've talked about. They want somebody who they feel is going to be able to learn, because it's not what you have learned that matters so much to them, it's what you will learn. And so you want to show that you are going to be respectful, honest, dependable, trustworthy, all of those things, especially when you are an entry-level employee. They want to know that that you're somebody who is going to grow with the company and not cause problems. They want somebody who is going to be able to do the work, but not push back, and be dependable, meet deadlines. That's very important. And so they're going to be looking for those soft skills when they speak to you. And so they may actually ask you questions to try and rattle your cage a little and see how you react. Because a lot of people who are very intelligent, they tend to be kind of defensive. And so they might ask you something, and they're going to see if you're going to react defensively, because they don't want an employee who's going to bring that kind of energy into their workplace. And so most important is look like you would be a good employee. Look like you'd be somebody who is going to bring solutions and not problems. Do the work and not complain about deadlines, because it's amazing the extent to which people will hunt for excuses sometimes when something's gone wrong. And the last thing an employer wants to hear is excuses. They might want to hear an apology, and then possibly, this is how we could stop it from happening again. But don't ever sound as if you don't take responsibility for things that haven't gone wrong, that have gone wrong, sorry.
Thank you, Missy. So Gabriel Jones has a question. Is your mic working, Gabriel?
Hi everyone, are you guys hearing me?
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Yep.
Thanks. Awesome. Okay, so hi Miss. I have a question, right? I'm not sure if you mentioned it earlier because I was kind of late. So yeah. Okay. So I was wondering if you think it makes sense to do a master's if you are an ACT-SCI major, as not saying as opposed to doing the professional exam, but just saying if I were to do it, do you think it makes sense, or do you think the professional exams have or carry more weight? If that makes sense.
Professional exams definitely carry more weight. So if you know you want to be an actuary, then if you do a master's in ACT-SCI, like I know a number of people have gone, particularly to University of Waterloo, and done it. If you do a master's in ACT-SCI, that will help you, no question, to becoming an actuary. But beyond that, I would not say it's necessarily worth it, no. Because if what you're doing in your master's is not directly relevant to the exams, it's not going to help you pass the exams. So if your focus is to get your FSA, and I'll speak just from the US side of things, but if you want to become a fellow, then the most important thing is to focus on the exams. If you can do a master's that helps you to pass those exams, then yeah, you can do that too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Jason, you can say your question.
Hi, afternoon, everyone. Hi, Ms. Hay. You had mentioned 2 questions ago, well, in your answer to 2 questions ago, that employers may ask you something to see if you get defensive. I'm asking if you could give an example of something that they'd ask, and maybe one of the responses that they look favorably on?
Okay, well, responses I can't necessarily just give because that's going to be something where they're looking at you personally. But they might see a gap in your resume. Like suppose there was a gap between when you left university and you coming to interview with them. And they're going to want to see if you are going to shuffle around the answer or if you're going to talk directly. And so in the event that you don't get a job straight out of university for whatever reason, and there can be a million and one reasons, it might be things to do with your family, it might be the fact that you just couldn't find a job, know that they are probably going to see how not only defensive, but evasive you are in answering that question. And so be honest. At the same time, don't be honest and say I did nothing, because then that implies that you're not an interesting person who is interested in growing. You would be doing something in that year and find the best way to spin it. And again, don't lie. You can make it look a little bit more impressive by choosing the words, like Daniel was saying earlier. You can phrase things a little differently, but be honest and straightforward. And this is a good reminder too, that get involved in volunteering if you can't find something else to do. But even if you're working, volunteering is a good thing. And if you're not sure how to go about that, I mean, I'm no longer a member of the Rotary Club, but if you go through a service organization, that's a very, very good way to show people that you are interested in working with people towards some kind of positive goal that doesn't necessarily benefit you personally. And and that's actually a good plug for service organizations in general. They are an excellent way to learn interpersonal skills that you will need in real life. And the good thing about it is that if you join whichever service organization, you can learn those skills without it mattering, in that you can leave if you really don't want to take it anymore. So you can learn the leadership skills, you can learn the interpersonal skills, but it's not like your job where you lose the paycheck if you walk away from it. So plug there, join a service organization.
All right, thanks, Miss.
You're welcome.
Okay, Shamar Mundell. Am I working?
Are you guys hearing me?
Yep, can hear.
Yeah. I mean, so I actually have a few questions. I hope you don't mind. The first one is, from the first time I sat in your lecture class, I realized that you had the credentials of FSA, SARA, and PRM. I was actually intrigued as to the comparison of SARA to a PRM and also an FRM. So what's the comparison? Which would be better for an actuarial student, if it would be a PRM, FRM, or the SARA?
Okay, all right. Well, first I'm going to call it CERA, even though I know everybody calls it SERA. And that's just because from it first came about, SOA was trying very hard to make everybody spell out the letters. So I'll stick with it. Okay, so definitely actuarially, if talking about somebody who wants to stay in the actuarial field, the CERA is far better than the other two, because it's the only one that's actuarial. And that means that it's the only one that has a really deep involvement in looking at probability distributions and how to apply them to risk. So although it does come into PRM and FRM, it's not the same. So the CERA is much, much broader. So that's enterprise risk management and not just risk management, more narrowly defined. So between, and CERA, I would say it's definitely a lot harder than PRM. I haven't sat the FRM exams, but I would imagine it's substantially harder as well. I did my CERA when they had the finance and ERM track was one track that you could take, and you got the CERA by doing those exams along the way. So I can't really view it as a separate course of exams, because I did the two together. I know that you can do it separately now rather than taking that finance ERM track. Between PRM and FRM, and there's actually a little bit of soap opera behind that, where the PRM is offered by Premier and the FRM by GARP. Now, GARP actually was originally a not-for-profit organization, and they decided they were going to go for profit. And there was a group of people in GARP who got really annoyed with that idea. And so they decided they'd go and do their own thing. And that's Premier. So Premier broke off and was not for profit. GARP continued and became for profit. And then eventually went back to not for profit. So, but that's part of the reason why you're going to see a lot more advertising, a lot more promotions for FRM. And that's because they have a more for-profit mindset. Now, Premier has changed and they are still not for profit, but they are pushing more to get more visibility. Between the two of them, there's a lot of similarities, but the PRM is a little bit broader. It's not just financial. And so the PRM, you'd have a little bit more of moving into the enterprise risk management side of things. And for a long time, they didn't require you to pay money to keep your credential up to date, but they do now. And so that's where they get the funds for the promotions and for putting on webinars, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, choosing between PRM and FRM, I would say is really just up to you. If you want to think a little bit more broadly than just financial risk management, then the PRM is probably a better choice. But as it stands in Jamaica right now, FRM is definitely better recognized, no question about it.
Okay, thank you for that, Miss. So, and follow-up question, with the FSA track, right? How long would you think it would take the average student to complete FSA exam? It's in FSA credentials.
That's a very, very, very difficult question to answer, in part because they change the structure every now and then. So the structure is quite different from when I passed. I'm not sure what the fastest you could do it is, but average student, that's tricky because average in brain power or average in how hard they work. Because like I say, the hard working part is actually more important.
Yeah, it's subjective. But given like an estimate as to how long it would take like a regular, like someone who has a 9 to 5 or something of the sort.
Okay, again, it depends as well what kind of 9 to 5, because if you're working in a field that's tied to the track that you sit, that helps you a lot because you're familiar with the type of work. But I would say you should probably count on about 8 years. I know that sounds overwhelming, but I remember when I started out, somebody said to me, yeah, it'll probably take you about 10 years. And I remember thinking, well, she clearly doesn't know me. And it took me about 10 years. I mean, with a lot of speed bumps along the way, you know, life gets in the way, things happen. But it took me about 10 years. And that's not the shortest for people in Jamaica. But.
Wow. And final question, if I'm looking to become an FSA, what kind of financial backing do I need? Because I know the exams are extremely expensive.
Okay, they're extremely expensive, but then, you know, compared to doing, say, a master's or something, you know, the truth is that because you pay it along the way, it doesn't necessarily, it's not as brutal as you might think. If you sit down now and add up the cost of all the exams and books and manuals, it's going to look like it's insane. But it's something that you should probably just plan on along the way. If you are working in an actuarial firm, you may get some assistance, because I know that the consulting firms generally give you assistance. The FSC did have a study program while I was there, although if you left within X years of getting your fellowship, you would have to pay back what they gave you for the books and exams. But so combination of look into the study discount program. The discount program is, it's not, well, it's a meaningful discount, but it's not like the exams are cheap afterwards. But I'll put a little plug in right here now for the Casualty Actuarial Society. If any of you are looking to follow that path, the discount program for their exams is much, much, much better than for the SOA exams.
Okay, and final question. I promise, guys. I promise. So we have the big fives in accounting, in finance, and so forth. I'm wondering who makes up the big five for actuarial consultancy in Jamaica?
Oh, sorry. You're saying just in Jamaica?
Yeah, in Jamaica.
Well, I guess you really would say that it's down to Duggan and Eckler for pensions and Sagicor somewhat for pensions, although they're not like consultants. But there's not really a big five, but it's so you've got Guardian, you've got Eckler, you've got Duggan, and you've got Sagicor, and that's really where you're going to look if you're an actuarial student. But the most important thing I'm going to tell you is don't pin your hopes on getting a job any of those places straight out of university and then give up if you don't get it. And I actually was mentoring somebody some years back who they'd interned at Sagicor, didn't get a full-time position there, and they were pretty depressed about that. Because they're bright, no question about it, and hardworking, but somebody else got a position and they didn't, and they were really, really quite bitter about it. They got a job somewhere else, and I said, take that job. Don't, even though it's not strictly actuarial, take that job. And I said, because you are going to learn skills that the other students are not going to get. Because when you're working in the actuarial field, like I say, it can be a lot of data, very boring. You're not learning a lot of the other skills in the early years that you need to be a successful employee. And so this person was going to the place they worked at. They were going to high-level board meetings. They were watching the dynamics at the boardroom. Even though they weren't contributing, they weren't participating, they were sitting in the room and were able to watch what was going on. They were being involved in the preparation of financial statements. And lo and behold, before you know it, they got a job with an actuarial firm. So I would say don't worry too much about who is there and who is an actuary. Think about what you're actually interested in, and the actuarial field is always going to be widening. There are ways in which you can use your skills in other companies. I mean, I know that even Digicel has hired people with ActSci background and experience because of the kind of analysis that they can bring. So yeah, well, those 4 companies are the ones you would think of as actuarial, but don't limit yourself by just thinking on those lines.
All right, thank you so much, Miss.
You're welcome.
Okay, now Shamar Green has a question.
Hi, Miss A. I'm just asking. I'm sure you've done like a lot of interviews. So, what would be like the top 3 things that a candidate can get to capture your attention, positive attention?
What I really look for is, does this person look like they're coming across straight to me? Are they being honest? Are they being direct with me? That's really what matters to me. I mean, and I'm speaking for myself, obviously, but it's really frustrating when you see somebody who's obviously putting on an act when they sit in the interview. They don't speak in their natural voice, and they don't. And when I say natural voice, I don't mean natural accent. I don't bring the patois into your interview. I mean, if the interviewer relaxes a little bit and says something in patois, it's okay to just kind of respond a little bit in patois, but bring it back to the standard English, because that's what they're going to be looking for. But just be yourself. If you're asked a question, don't be defensive, because that will definitely show up in your work in a work situation. If you're defensive in the interview, then when something goes wrong in the office, then that means you're going to be defensive there too. So I think just, honesty, that they're a little bit flexible, not defensive. And I don't know what else beyond that. Yeah, if they seem like they're going to be respectful. And again, by that, I don't mean that they're going to debase themselves. I would never want somebody to act as though they're just going to be groveling and trying to do everything to please their boss. But respect, meaning that you're confidence and respect. There you go. I don't want respect without confidence. You want somebody to know who they are, but not push that aggressively onto everybody else. Know who you are, but be respectful of other people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Tiffany McCarthy sent a question. She says, follow-up question to a previous question. If during your unemployment you ventured out into new things unrelated to actuarial science or unrelated to skills that would be beneficial to an actuary, would that be looked on negatively or positively by the employer?
It would depend a lot on what it is. I mean, if it's something, any kind of volunteering is always good. You know, if you volunteered with, say, mustard seed communities, that kind of thing shows that you're somebody who's willing to give back. And employers always like that. But if it's something in another field, it would depend. So if you're an artist, then just to say, oh, you did painting, that might not impress people. But if you can say that you were if you can say that you were involved in painting some of the murals at Fleet Street, that's something that an employer is going to look at as positive, because it's a big achievement, it's significant, but it also shows that you're working with a team of people. And so most of what you do, there is a way to present it so that it shows what is positive and what is relevant. And so anything you do as part of a team that achieves a notable goal is going to be something that you would want to put on the resume. Because, you know, if you say, oh, you know, rather than putting on your resume, my hobbies are dancing and singing. But if you can say you took part in something, a specific event, especially if it's an event that either was in the press or an event that was something giving back to your community, those things would definitely be positives. And employers do want to know that you have a life outside of the office. They just don't want you to bring too much of it into the office.
Okay, thank you. Michael Young, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. The question is, if we go through the 2009 manual, is it enough for us to take the FM exam, or should we work with a more recent one?
I honestly don't know, but I would recommend getting a more recent one.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Roshan Crutchley.
Okay, just to piggyback off some other questions, you were saying that doing the master's degree doesn't act as a substitute for any other exams at all?
No.
No? Oh, okay. So basically, there's no real.
If you do an ACSI master's, it will help you to pass the exams because of what you're learning. And you know, you'll have a lecturer you can talk to and ask questions. Whereas like when I did the exams, it was just me at home with my textbooks, come home from work and sit down and hit the textbooks. So if you're in a university setting, especially if you're around other people who are sitting the exams, then you can study with them and you'll have those resources to ask questions. But yeah, the getting a master's degree, unless something's changed, it doesn't give you any exemptions for any exams.
Okay, I was just clarifying because I think somebody told me that it does act as a substitute, so I was kind of unclear.
I was at somebody culturally and I told her that there's one school that, like, if you look at, I think it was for the UK, and it's because it's not the same SOA track.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like you have to look on it and it will like outline, it will say that this master's you'll get exempted from these 2 exams. But then when you read more, it's because they actually factor in the exam as coursework. So like it's not really, you're not getting an exemption, you're just doing it in your program. So
okay.
Yeah, and yeah, the little caveat, I don't know a lot about the exam structure in the UK, and it has changed as well over the years. But so my background is SOA, and so I'm more familiar with the SOA, although I'm not on top of all of the recent changes.
Oh yes, Miss. I keep getting different answers as to how many exams there actually are. So could you clarify how many there actually are?
Okay, my answer is go to soa.org and look.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I keep hearing 7 and 10 and 15.
You know where you would get the right answer, actually? On the website.
It's actually 7,
which is what we all tell you.
Yeah, but as in
just look.
SOP, there's an actor you spoke to an actor.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Oh,
speaking to somebody who's qualified, generally after we pass the exams, we don't want to look at them anymore, so we don't know. But no, if I were to answer your question, I would actually have to go to the website and look it up anyway. So 601.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all, Rashawn?
Yeah, it was just to clarify some stuff.
Okay, so Sharifa, do you want me to read your question or?
Oh, I was asking. My question was, you know, at least in Jamaica, the big companies are out of like Sagicor Life and Guardian Life. What made you choose not to do the individual life track and go to corporate finance?
Oh, well, I worked in pensions. So I've never actually worked technically as a life actuary. I worked as a pensions actuary and I worked across the different areas when I was at the FSC. But I just took the track that I thought was the most interesting one, because if you're going to be killing up yourself studying exams, you might as well do something that you find interesting. I don't find pensions particularly interesting. It's just that the company I worked for, that's what we did. And so I did the finance ERM because when I was looking at the material, I said, this is probably going to hold me a little bit better than some of the other tracks. And then at the time, it was the only way you could get the CERA, and I wanted to get that too. So it was the most difficult track at the time, but most interesting to me.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any more questions before we go into our giveaway?
Yeah, I have one
question.
more. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, let me go really quick. All right, Miss, you were saying that it took you about 10 years to do all the exams and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with all of that, like, how did you properly balance time with learning all the content and keeping up with work and like keeping your life intact and your mental health and all of that? Because that 10 years thing, that's so.
Well, that's why it took so long, was because I wasn't very good at balancing those things. The most important thing to do is to just really look at what you're up against. And so the final fellowship exam I sat for finance ERM, there were 3,500 pages of reading for that exam. I'm somebody where my usual way to approach an exam would be, I get the textbooks and I look at it and I get a good sense of what's going on, and then I sit down and I study. I couldn't do that. You can't get through that amount of material doing it that way. So what I had to do was put everything in a spreadsheet and say, okay, this reading has 60 pages, this one has 102 pages, and just go all the way through, look at how much time I had, divide it up, leave time for review and for practice exams, and just go through it, just work through it. You have to set a schedule and just really just get at it, just attack it. You do want to leave some time, of course, for having a life, because you do need to blow off steam every now and then. But the most important thing, like I say, is to be hardworking, to take it seriously. And a lot of us who were bright in high school and didn't have to study very hard, we don't learn good study habits, and my study habits were appalling. And I had to change that. I had to look at it as work and just really jump in and attack it. So if you're here, my bet would be that you're more than bright enough to pass the exams. I mean, I'm not speaking for anybody personally, but most of us don't really have the work ethic. So you need to find the work ethic and just plan it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm looking at the questions here.
Yes. My question was that if it is that you said that even though pensions wasn't, it was what the firm you worked with did, right? So is it that depending on where you work, that might determine the path that you take?
Depends on your employer. Some employers insist that you must take whatever path is their field. Not so common in Jamaica, but when I was working in the US, I was working with, at the time it was Watson Wyatt in the US. And I was in their retirement practice, which meant I had to do the retirement exams. And part of the reason for that is that the exams are very specific in the US for pensions. And so it really depends where you work. Jamaica, we tend to be a little bit more flexible. From you have the FSA, that's really what matters. But yeah, you'd have to just hope that your boss is going to go along with what it is you're okay with.
Okay, I was asking because like I haven't decided what it is that what path I want to take, and I was just wondering if maybe where I work might end up determining that path.
It might, but my recommendation to you is, I mean, don't walk away from a job because you'd have to do the track and you don't want to do that track. That would not be smart. But within whatever room you have, do what you find most interesting. Makes the
Thanks,
exam,
Miss.
makes the exams a lot easier if you're interested in what you're doing.
Okay, final question from Gabrielle Jones. Or should I read it?
Hi. Oh,
no. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, all right. Hi, Miss again. Okay, so I'm not so sure if this question is, a great one, but I was wondering if do you think employers would sort of take it easier on you if they know you're studying for exams in terms of the workload?
Depends on the employer, and it depends when the exams are. So, for example, in pensions, most of the pension plans have a calendar year end, which means that middle of January to March was always hell. And so an employer is not likely, if they have that kind of workload, to really go easy on you. They want to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is that some actuarial firms, and definitely that one when I was studying there, they do give you some study leave. And I know that the FSC used to, I don't know if they still do. It's not a lot of time, but it does help you to schedule your study sessions. Study leave will usually take priority over study leave. And so you'd have to know what your employer really has worked out for you. Now, with actuarial firms, they need people to do actuarial calculations. So they do actually want to help you to pass your exams and become competent. But the work comes first.
Oh, okay. And also, all right, last one. Sorry, Celine. Last thing. Oh God, what was I saying again? Oh Lord. Oh, do you are like say when you are negotiating the 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 job or what the contract or whatever, do you get the chance of seeing that if you pass the exam you'll be reimbursed or something like that? Does that work?
Well, if you are going with an ActSci degree to interview for a company that does actuarial work, the way you would approach that question is you'd say, do you have an exam study program? Do you have some kind of actuarial study program? Now, if you are too fixated on like what raises you would get for passing exams, employers don't really like to see that because it looks then to them as if you just are looking for a way to get a qualification and then goodbye.
Okay.
So it's a perfectly valid question to ask if there is a program and to ask, if they can tell you a little bit about it. But I wouldn't ask for specifics like that because it implies your focus is in the wrong place.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. That was the final question. I'm sorry. I'm going to hand over to Alyssa now.
Okay, we want to thank all of you guys for your questions and for sticking with us up to now. And we have a couple of questions for you right now, actually. And so we'll be doing a giveaway. So for those of you who are paying attention, this is your time to get some free credit, basically. So we're going to start off with some easy questions. The first one. Approximately how many full actuaries are practicing in Jamaica? So you can put your answers in the chat and we'll be watching. All right, so the answer is less than 20. So I guess that's Jason. Jason was the first person to answer correctly. So that was for $100 credits, right? Another easy one. Are you guys ready? What is the main problem that employers have with actuarial science graduates? All right, I think I want to give that one to
I'm really glad that you've learned that one. I'm so proud of myself now.
All right, so Justin Lynch, he said arrogance. Yeah, that's correct. So that's another $100 credit. And now for the hard one. So Miss Hay dropped a lot of gems while speaking to us today. So there are a number of things you can say to answer this question. Name 3 things that are involved in being a professional. 3 out of the many things she said today. So just put everything in one message, please.
Or they could open their mics to answer.
Yeah, that would be easier.
No, please, no. Use the chat.
Yeah, too much.
Use
That's
the
gonna be
chat.
too much screaming.
Okay,
That
I
way
think
we can actually see who, sent it first.
Right. I think that's JAC.
Is that Josh?
I have no idea who it is. They said punctuality, respect, and being dependable.
Yeah, that sounds like Josh. What the word? Initials.
That's JAG.
JAG.
All right, I know I'm right. Wait until him come forward. Oh, it's not Josh. Never mind.
Not Josh.
Because when Josh does it, he uses his middle initials. I'm not wrong, guys. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm going to take that answer as well. So mainly she spoke about being honest and ethical, staying updated on current trends within your field, taking responsibility for your actions, showing respect to all who you work with and for, and respecting authority and the chain of command. So we want to thank you guys for participating and congratulations to all the winners. So I think that's Jason, Justin, and JAC. All right, thank you guys. I'm handing it back to Celine now.
All right. Before you go to Celine, I just want to thank Miss Hay on behalf of everybody here, on behalf of the exec, on behalf of all the members. Thank you so much, Miss Hay, for taking the time out of your day to come and speak to us. I learned a lot, and I know a lot of people learned a lot, and we can tell from the very interactive Q&A session. One thing I hope we all take away from this is to let go off of the arrogance, guys. We are not God's gift to humanity. Please be humble. Please remember that you are placed here to learn and that you have a lot of things to learn from everybody. So I just want to thank you again, as I said before, thank you so much for coming out and, educating us on professionalism and all that it entails, both in the general workspace and in the actuarial field.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so the game that I was trying to load from before, we're just gonna play it very quickly. Miss Kay, you can play. It's easy, I promise. It's gonna take 5 minutes. So I'm just waiting to share screens. Or Daniel. And you guys can show the answers. Well,
I was about to share my screen and then I realized it was my WhatsApp that was open, so I had to go back and fix that. So when you guys can see it.
Seeing it.
All right.
Yes, already.
Oh, all right. So this is the part where you open your mic and shout the answer. Not really shout, but enunciate. Maybe you can introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Daniel, and I think the answer
won't
is
have any time for that.
Anyways, so guys, we'll be playing 4 picks 1 word, as Celine said. Are you ready?
Yes.
No. All right, first one. This is the easy round.
Wow. Crown.
Yeah.
Gabby got it first.
Gabby Jones. There are no prizes here, okay?
Oh yeah. Okay.
No.
Spot.
No, guys, this is so easy. Can I say the note?
Note.
I said so.
Tone. The answers aren't there, so I'm just playing along like everybody else. Let me just point that out.
Oh.
Tone.
Yeah.
You get it because the different shades and then the shades and then music and then the exercising.
Yeah. Miss Kay, your mic's muted. We can't hear if you're shouting out the answers over there.
You really think I'm stressing my brain with this right now?
I'm dead. Okay, guys, ready up.
Fair.
Wow.
And we take off Savannah.
Whoa, that was good, Savannah. All right, next one. Oh my God.
Carnival. I'm not gonna mute my mic. Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Said it first, Irwin.
Yeah, I heard a male
No.
voice, so not sure.
I think Savannah said it first.
Thank you.
Balance.
All right,
Yeah,
can the exec
Gabby.
allow the club members to try?
Yeah,
You think you guys can do that?
For the members, guys.
Okay, I'm going to mute my
Who's that in
mic.
the
'cause
chat?
Balance.
Justin, unmute your mic.
Balance.
All
I
right.
think.
Exec, please mute your mic at green. I can see
Balance.
the mic open. Crutchley.
Oh yeah, I'm not playing anyways because I know that.
Savannah, mute your mic.
Ready up my side. Oh, we're in the medium round. What is?
Play.
Play.
Yes.
Oh, good job, Gabby J.
Oh my God. What that's walking.
Come on.
March.
Oh my gosh, Gabby, I'm so
What's the
proud
first
of
word? What
you.
you say? You said
Yes,
what?
walk.
Okay.
She said walking, so she's wrong.
Oh,
Yeah,
walk.
you're wrong actually.
I know this.
Oh, this one.
Oh, I know what
Monarch.
this is.
It's Monarch.
It's Monarch.
Monarch.
Gabriel,
Nice.
what are you doing?
Indian.
No. Oh my god.
Meditation.
Look at the letters are there.
No,
What's
it's word
The
that starts with
letters.
R.
Oh,
Krishna.
Someone is
This
doing
word.
it.
Lavisha.
Nirvana. Nirvana.
Wait, Celine, you said
Somebody
somebody
just
said
said
it?
Still.
Yeah,
I
but
just said it already.
Nirvana.
Oh, Nirvana. Yeah, that makes
Oh, at Gabriel Jones.
I should have known this.
Wait, you definitely should have. Brick.
Wow.
Blind. Blank.
Album.
No.
Yes. Who said album?
I'm sorry. How does this relate to blank?
Who said that?
An album.
Who said that?
Hey guys, stretch your brain muscles. We're at the
Difficult
difficult round.
I can't play now. I won't
No.
We can't play now with difficult.
No.
There's just three left.
Try.
This was not hard, Celine.
Wow.
This was not hard, Celine.
All right, watch the
Oh
next
my
one then.
God.
Watch it.
That's not hard.
Meter.
Celine, you think these are hard?
It's silly.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Ew, Celine.
Oh, this one I still don't
I
know.
bet nobody's gonna get it.
Celine, do you know what this is?
Yes, I know what
Is it
is.
meal?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Celine, why would nobody get this?
Because you get it. Some people didn't know that those
Why
are
are they
mealworms.
Yeah, why are the bugs a meal? That's why I didn't think it was a meal.
Mealworm.
Oh, I didn't.
Uncultured.
I don't eat worms. So I don't.
Scavenger.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's not the word.
Trash.
Yeah,
You're right.
Gavin.
These are
I
not
hope
hard.
this is how in a quick in class when the lecturer asks you to work out the questions.
I need all the vibes.
Okay, guys, and the winner is
Nobody.
Everybody.
Where's the stop
Thanks for
sharing?
tuning, guys. That was nice.
All right, guys. Back over to Celine because I don't remember what's next.
Hey guys, we're gonna handle for the green.
Oh, okay, guys. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Miss Hay again. I don't see her on screen. Yeah.
She's here.
Yeah, she's right there. Thank you, Miss Hay, for coming again. Thanks to all 50 plus of you for attending the meeting. Remember the mentorship flyer. The mentorship is still open. Jersey ends October 2nd. The competition ends October the 2nd. And
tomorrow.
Excuse me, while Green is thinking, the people who won the giveaway, can you message me, please, so that you can receive your prize? Thank you.
the committees are still open. You guys can join the PR committee. That's it, it's just the PR committee.
And EAC and Treasury.
Yeah.
No, Treasury closed. Treasury closed.
Treasury is closed?
Oh,
Okay. thanks again. Sorry, congrats again to our PCC, Savannah, and our DTEAC, Jevin. Yeah, she's right there. All the links for what I said before are in the Axi IG's bio. You can just click them and everything is there. And just thanks again for joining us. See you next week.
You're welcome.
Bye, guys. Oh, and message me on WhatsApp. So I have your number and I know where to send the credit. Bye, guys. You guys can leave the meeting. I won't end it because I always end it in the middle of somebody talking. So I'll just...
Bye, guys.
End it on me.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I can't believe JC is not Josh.
JAC, who are you?
What's his second middle name?
You thought it was the Carl?
Yes,
Like,
because he did that
Oh.
for Among Us, so I thought it was him.
Josh Anthony Carl Green.
maybe it is.
You just
that he
got
was
call out
like-
him government name on the call,
You basically just did it.
I never heard his name.
It's recording still.
Remember Josh Anthony Carl Green.
Are you gonna stop the
And then you got
recording?
it so wrong, Chrissy. Stop.